Where is he?
He's hiding. Oh, look at that sign.
Okay. You ready?
My gosh.
I feel like I'm officially.
Okay, we'll call our meeting to order, and we need a motion to approve me as temporary chair to convene the meeting through items 5A1. Moved by
Support.
Dan, supported by Tina. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and we'll start with the superintendent's report.
Well, thank you, Skip. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight and welcome to everyone watching on the live stream. A big Happy New Year to you all. This is the last week of the first semester. Hard to believe.
That is.
Exams started today at the high school. I'm sure Adam and Matt will tell us about that. And this Friday is a records day for staff, so no school for students. I'd like to begin. January is School Board Recognition Month, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your service and dedication to governing Vicksburg Community Schools and serving our community to ensure our precious students receive the best education in safe and secure environments. Thank you so much for filling these important roles. On behalf of the entire VCS family, thank you. And in our packet tonight is the certificate of proclamation from Governor Whitmer that proclaims January as School Board Recognition Month. And we always like to give you all a gift. So if you wouldn't mind, in front of you, you have a box with a card. If you wouldn't mind opening up your gift and showing the audience.
It's ticking.
I don't want to.
Awesome. Bulldog coffee.
Good, because I lost mine.
Thank you. Let me just say that we appreciate being recognized, but it's a great place to be a school board member here in Vicksburg, and that's because of all of our school family and the fact that we all work together, so.
Well, thank you, Skip.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate it. Appreciate all you do, and obviously this whole month we'll be celebrating all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Legislatively, I sound like a broken record, but Lansing is very, very quiet still. We have new legislators that started last week, and I fully expect we're going to have plenty of action in the next few weeks. It's going to come fast and furious. But on another note, the Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference took place last Friday. And if you recall, that's the conference where they look at the revenues, and then all budgets are set from that information. Fully expect Governor Whitmer to come out with her budget proposal sometime in early February, would be my guess. Steve and I will definitely keep you in the loop as we continue to digest the numbers that came out. But some things that I think we should expect from this new group in Lansing. I think they will take a look at the Read by Grade 3 law. I think charter school transparency is going to be on the docket, as well as the state school grading system. So stay tuned. I think I'll have plenty in my report legislatively over the next couple months. During board action, you're going to be presented with a resolution to move the regional enhancement millage renewal from a 3-year ballot cycle to a 6-year ballot cycle. As you are aware, this millage renewal has been in existence since 2005. The first time it passed was the year we built our original stadium, and we used a lot of the proceeds from that enhancement millage for that purpose. And even more important is every 3 years since 2005, that enhancement millage has passed. So it's countywide, it's been supported. Nothing other than moving to a 6-year cycle is in this resolution, and I just want to let you know I do support the move. A couple other things in my report. First, you may recall we contracted with Secure Education Consultants to conduct a safety and security assessment of all our buildings. I'm happy to report that we have received the final report. It does contain recommendations from Secure Education Consultants, and Steve and I, after reading the report, were very pleased with the results. And I'd like to read a quote that SEC sent to us. It says, SEC believes that VCS has done a remarkable job in developing and executing extremely comprehensive safety and security plans, and it currently provides very safe and secure environments for its staff and students. In addition, they highlighted our strong relationship with the village police and the county sheriff. So we are looking forward to meeting with SEC in the very near future. They will go over the recommendations with us. And again, that will allow us to continue to provide the safest and most secure learning environments for our precious students and staff. I draw your attention now to the important date sheet. As I mentioned, this Friday, no school. Records Day, exam week this week at the high school, and then our second semester officially kicks off Monday, January 23rd. We also have some February dates in here. I'd like for you to get on your calendar if possible. February 8th is the Pathways High School graduation. That'll be right here in the library at 6 o'clock. We have homecoming week that week as well, winter homecoming, highlighted by the game, Friday game with the Strive Beef Raffle. So that'll be Friday, February 10th. And then we also have two concerts. We have the VMS VHS Pre-Festival Choir Concert on February 14th on Valentine's Day. And then on the 16th, the Pre-Festival Band Concert. And then if you are interested in attending the Athletic Booster Bounce, that'll be Saturday, February 18th. And that's my report.
All right, thank you, Kevin. We'll go on to reports and public inquiry, budget and finance report. Steve?
Okay, well, first, before I get into the report, I'd like to take just a moment and introduce our new director of facilities, Dewey Waterman, who's here tonight. Dewey comes to us from Penfield with a wealth of experience and knowledge, and we're very excited to have him. Dewey's got one grown-up child and an avid mountain biker. And so, yeah, Dewey comes with, he's got a lot of construction estimating experience. He's been with a number of contractors. He was in charge of energy education, which might sound familiar if you've been on the board for a while, in Calhoun County, as well as, you know, the facility side. So he has a lot thrown at him already, but I can tell he's going to do a great job and seems to be working really well with the guys. So please take a moment and welcome Dewey.
Welcome, Dewey.
Welcome, Dewey.
All right, and then on to the monthly budget progress report. Let's take just a minute. I've got two items this evening, the normal budget progress report and then also an update on the school district's investments. So starting with the monthly budget progress report, this includes information or accounting activity through December 31st, and you will see that revenue year-to-date is just over 10 million, or about 30.24% of the total budget. Everything's tracking the way we would expect. We're a little bit behind where we would like to be in some of the other revenue, but I anticipate in the next 4 weeks or so, we'll see significant additional enhancement money coming in. And then, you know, we should look a lot more comparable going forward there. On the expenditure side, total instructional expenditures are at 36.03% of the adopted budget. The total dollar value there is $7,133,765. On the support services, total support services year-to-date, $5,207,525. And then athletics is at $354,524. Community services at $244,476. And so total year-to-date expenditures in the general fund, just under 13 million at 12,940,290. All right, the second page of that report takes the year-to-date expenditures and breaks them down by object code. And just have to zoom this in a little bit. So again, same total expenditures by object code. On a year-to-date basis, salaries are at just under 6 million at 5,918,000. Benefits 4,214,000. And then you can see there's a breakdown for purchase services, supplies, capital outlay, and other. And again, total expenditures year-to-date 12,940,290, and that's just about 39.7% of our budget. And if you compare it to prior year, it's pretty close. We're at 39.65. There's more variability than that tight variance suggests, but all in all, things are tracking the way you'd expect. Any questions on that? Okay. Second part of the report is the investment update. And just an update from last month. Included on the schedule, there are, right now, there are 4 of the school district's funds that we have investments in. The first being the 2022 Building and Site Fund, or the Construction Fund, where there is still, at least on a market basis, $14,009,508 in investments, and you can see the majority of that's going to be in treasuries. There is about $1.3 million of commercial paper, and then the local government investment pool, which is MyLAF, which operates like a money market, is at $334,237. And then looking at the 2020 construction fund, there's still a little bit of money in there, and that totals just about $2.5 million. You can see that about $842,000 of that is liquid, and there is a term investment, which isn't technically a CD, but acts like a CD, at $1.7 million. That'll mature on February 14th. And then you can see for debt service, there's $1.7 million. In general fund, we're at, this fluctuates during the month based on cash flow, but at the end of the month, we're at $2,275,000. And as interest rates continue to rise, looks like those rates are going to slow down now a little bit, at least based on the latest market pricing. But, even our most liquid funds are paying over 4%, around 4.25%. And so that's pretty significant. If we're able to keep around $2 million a month in for the general fund, that's generating over $7,000 a month in investment income now. So last month for December, we generated, just in the general fund, about $7,500. And there were a lot of years where we didn't earn $7,500 over the course of a year. So it's definitely a much better interest rate environment from our perspective.
Steve, has that been typical balance for the last year, 2.5?
No, until interest rates started going up, we had kept most of our operating funds basically just in a liquid, like a sweep account with the bank, because there was really no significant benefit to moving money around and all that kind of stuff. Right now, we started investing with general fund dollars, I want to say in October, November. So that's, we get our state aid on the 20th of each month, and then so that's Friday. And so we should be able to, invest a decent amount of that and try to get that balance as high as we can. And then as check runs are prepared and payroll is prepared and those types of things, we draw that down. But we try to keep it as invested as we can now, again, just because there's so much more investment income to be earned outside of your normal bank accounts. Am I answering your question?
Oh, yeah, I can get up with you later.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. In December, there were 3 payrolls, so I might, we probably drew that down a little bit more just because of the timing of the payroll. But, hopefully we'll be able to keep that, for the most part, above $2 million. Really from here through, we're kind of at almost near the lowest point for cash flow during the year, so hopefully we'll just see that start to increase at the end of each month.
But it's not like we're making extra money because cost of energy
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
all
and
of those
I'm glad
things
you
are
raised
going to
that.
eat that up. So anything we can do to maximize those dollars is
Yes,
going to
yep,
help.
that's exactly right. Everything is significantly more expensive, and we all experience that as individuals, and the school district experiences it on just a much larger scale. Yep. Other questions? All right, if not, that'll conclude my report.
Thanks, Steve. something we look forward to every year, the Vicksburg High School Annual Report. Adam?
Well, thank you.
I should say Adam
Let-
and Matt.
Yeah, I'm Adam and Matt. It's 7:16. We'll have them out of here by what, 8:30,
Yeah, about
8:45?
9 o'clock.
You know, I know there's,
Be better than usual.
Just be careful.
yeah, if you guys want to spin around, we have the slideshow on this screen and that screen. So it's totally up to you.
Oh, gosh.
Totally up to you. And then you guys know, as we're going through and making statements and explaining our report, if you have a question, just raise your hand. We're happy to answer it right then and there before people forget.
Well, yes, because. Unless you're on the admin team.
Yeah.
Keep your hands down.
Well, tonight's presentation is titled Defining a Clear and Compelling Purpose. And I know many of you have seen this slide before. We always start with this slide at VHS. Our mission is to maximize the success and potential of all students, and our vision is all students will graduate college and career ready.
And as always, we have a lot to celebrate. Aim Higher and the National Honor Society gave back to the community in big ways once again this year. Peer-to-Peer is off to a great start, helping students in need. We were once again ranked by U.S. News and World Reports as a best high school. Remember, those rankings are those attendees who demonstrated outstanding outcomes above expectations in math and reading state assessments, passed a diverse array of college-level exams, and graduated in high proportions. Our VHS capstone program is growing and just rolling along. We had 8 students last year earn their AP capstone diploma. So remember that to earn that diploma, those students have to pass and take AP seminar, AP research, and pass both of those exams, and then an additional 4 AP classes and exams as well. So that's pretty impressive that we've got 8. I think if we keep tracking the way we have been, we'll have double digits this year. So that's pretty exciting. Fall homecoming was another huge success. You can see all the positivity there in those pictures. It was a great week, full of great spirit. The students did great with their golf carts and their decorating. We had phenomenal weather for our outdoor homecoming assembly. And as you can see, our game was also great weather. Our homecoming court's not soaked and drenched like they normally are. So it was a really good time. We even had the big inflatable Zord balls to race in out on the field, and the students enjoyed it a lot.
They came the day before.
Yeah, day before.
We
Yeah,
ordered them 3 months
We
ago.
were inflating them that morning.
So it was great. I'm excited to talk about NHS Aim Higher and Student Senate and how they give back to Vicksburg High School. Student Senate coordinates multiple blood drives each year. We have another one coming up January 25th. This involves organizing, helping with setup, finding and checking in donors. The picture says it all. Blood drives save lives. NHS holds their personal care and food drive for South County around Thanksgiving. It's very well organized, and we only collect items that are in need. This year, we collected over 2,000 food and personal care items to donate. Aim Higher, they're down at the bottom. They collected over $1,900 in the Christmas drive. The money was used to help families in South County. They also prepared and delivered hot meals and personal care items to people experiencing homelessness in Kalamazoo. So you'll see throughout tonight's presentation that our priorities for this school year are to develop a strong PLC and strengthen social-emotional learning at VHS. This year, our PLCs are going to emphasize high-performing collaborative teams and action to improve results. We're going to hopefully do part of this through tutorial. We're excited. Tutorial's back at the high school. Tutorial runs for 30 minutes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We believe this will strengthen our PLCs and strengthen social-emotional learning at VHS. The primary focus of tutorial is reteaching, and then it also allows time for students to complete missing work. We also use tutorial for enrichment, rehearsals, test preparation, and we're hoping to involve more teacher collaboration.
As Adam said, one of our goals is to strengthen social-emotional learning at the high school. Up on the screen now is our social-emotional learning building team. We had some retirements and some other commitments come up, and we've had to replace several members, but they're passionate people who want to positively affect social-emotional learning at the high school. Lori Gordon, as we've mentioned before, is our social-emotional learning coordinator and has done a great job so far this year leading this team. Much of our work is for SEL at the high school is based in the 5 core competencies. which are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. They come from the CASEL framework, which is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, which is a nationally known research-based group. And all of VCS's work with SEL is aligned to the CASEL framework. So what is really exciting this year is I really feel like the team we have, the leadership team we have, we've established a really great foundation for social emotional learning in the secondary realm at Vicksburg High School. It's pretty exciting. There's a lot of great stuff that's going to positively affect all of the characteristics and competencies you see on the board in our students. So can't wait to get going even more.
Data. So now we get to examine the data. At the high school, we have so much data, it can be overwhelming. We've got graduation rates, we've got discipline, attendance, survey, pass-fail rates, AP, SAT scores, just to name a few. During our book study of Learning by Doing, the high school created 4 goals. We still look at other data points, but tonight's board meeting, we are going to look at data connected to these 4 goals. So our first goal is to reduce the failure rate. We want to increase the percentage of students pursuing and being successful in the most rigorous curriculum in each program. We want to increase student achievement on local, state, and national high-stake assessments. And we want to increase the percentage of our graduates who experience success in post-secondary learning. So we talked about the first goal. The first goal was to reduce the failure rate. We have tutorial in place right now to help students currently struggling in their classes. We also found that students who struggle needed summer school to make up credits and needed to make up lost learning. Last summer, we had 8 staff, 8 teachers, and 5 support staff volunteer to work summer school. 51 students completed at least 1 summer school class. 13 of them completed 3 or more summer school classes. In all, 101 classes were completed over the summer. 97% were core classes. This was huge for us because this allowed students to graduate on time. This allowed for flexibility in their schedule this school year. They're allowed to take CTE classes. They're allowed to take electives. On top of that, we've seen over the last 2 summers, they're less likely to fail a class the current school year. So they're making up that learning. They're having success. And so summer school has been a big, huge part of that. Our second goal was to increase the percentage of students pursuing and being successful in the most rigorous curriculum in each program. This is where we focus on AP, CTE enrollments, and passing rates. 4 years ago, Matt talked about this, we introduced you to AP Capstone. This is our second group of research students. We had 8 students earn an AP Capstone diploma last year. This is very exciting. You'll see some of these students are seniors this current year, some of them have moved on. But these students are passing at least 6 AP classes and 6 AP exams. Some of them are doing it in their junior year of high school, which means they might pass another 4 or 5 or 6. You know, our valedictorian passed, I think, 17 last year. So it's quite amazing how well they're doing. We can talk about AP Capstone, but we think it'd be better if you listen to the kids talk about it.
Hi, I'm Jackson Bowles, and I'm an AP Capstone student at Vicksburg High School.
Hi, my name's Kenny Dartmouth.
Hi, my name is Olivia Bailey.
Hi, my name is Patrick Fowler.
Hi, my name is Casey Zinsmaster.
My name is Grace Charette. Hi, my name is Hannah Lockery, and I'm an AP Capstone student researcher at Vicksburg High School.
I think this class has helped me more than anything to grow as a person and learn a lot of skills that help me with my drive and perseverance. I was also able to work with a mentor who is a specialist in non-clinical longevity field, which is Dr. Arnold from the University of Michigan, which was a great experience to learn about topics from someone in my field who works at an institution that is so great at developing medical treatment.
So overall, this program was really beneficial because it taught me how to manage my time better as a student.
Throughout this, I gained more knowledge, but also Capstone has greatly helped me as an individual because I have learned how to annotate things. I've learned how to research into topics and go full in and find every single thing about that topic. I've also learned how to present and talk in front of other people, which is a good skill to have for college as well.
I thought overall that the students in my classes were very driven, and everyone was always willing to help each other and work together, maybe bounce ideas off of each other. I thought that was great. I also really improved my writing and research skills throughout this process. And I think that this is probably the best class in the high school for what you can sort of take on into like college or your future career. Like the skills that you gain through this class are just great.
AP Capstone has given me a new skill set that I would leave high school without if it wasn't for this program. So first of all, AP Capstone gave me so many time management skills. This program is impossible if you procrastinate it, so it really forces you to get over your procrastination and really learn some important time management skills. And by the end of the year, I began to have nearly no homework because I really learned how to manage my time.
I believe that AP Capstone is really important for students because not only does it allow them to research something they're passionate about, but it gives them the opportunity to be able to analyze data, which is really important in certain careers, especially the medical field. I also think that this program helped me learn to connect with my peers better and be helpful and encouraging to them.
So we've learned about AP Capstone and how that pushes kids, and it's fantastic. But we're talking about AP for all. And when Kevin was the principal here, he talked about AP for all. Our goal is to have every student at the high school at least take one AP class. There is a lot of research out there that says taking AP classes in high school is beneficial. 85% of colleges and universities report that a student's AP experience favorably impacts the admission decisions. On top of that, research shows, remember, you need to score a 3, 4, or 5 to earn college credit, but research shows high school students that score a 2 on their AP exams are ready for college work. Students who take AP courses and AP exams are much more likely than their peers to complete a college degree on time. And we've worked through a lot of data we're going to share a little bit later on, and the data that we've collected at Vicksburg High School matches the same data that AP and College Board has found.
Currently, we offer 18 live AP courses at Vicksburg High School. We're hoping to add AP Environmental Science, but when you look at that list, it's just an incredible amount of challenging opportunity for our students. And as we continue to grow the AP program, like Adam said, we're going to get a lot more of them to get in one of those classes also. Currently, we're administering about 283 AP exams this spring. We still need to sign up students for AP Economics and AP Psychology because those classes start later in the year. Last year, we had 45 students sign up for AP Economics and 29 for Psychology. So if those numbers track in the same way, we'll be administering more exams than we have in quite some time, which is pretty encouraging. I know when you look at a chart like this, your eyes kind of track to that 2022, 2023 AP enrollments number. And yes, that's lower, but what I would draw your attention to are the 2021, 2022 percent of students who got a 3 or above. That's the percentage of students who took an AP exam that passed or got college credit, if you will. So that's, again, that's very encouraging. The numbers keep going that way, that's going to keep going up. And that's a huge testament to how our students are doing and how they're tackling advanced placement courses at the high school.
We've been working on priority standards for years, and when we had 2 in-person days, a virtual day on Wednesday, 2 in-person days 3 years ago, it really made you focus on priority standards. So when we got back into the classroom 5 days a week, AP teachers were able to complete the whole curriculum because they believe everything's important, and it is important, but they were able to get through the whole entire curriculum in that time that was allotted, and I think that's why we saw such a dramatic increase of students passing AP exams. I want you guys to understand, because I'm going to show you another slide in a few minutes, 52%, that means freshmen through seniors are passing these exams. So we have freshmen that take U.S. history, and occasionally we'll have a freshman maybe take like an AP seminar class. We have sophomores that'll take world history, they'll take AP physics, they can take another couple AP classes. By their junior year, they're really ready to go, and that's what I'm going to talk about in our next slide. This is one of my favorite slides. You guys have seen this numerous times. All right, this is the student demographic calculation slide. These 30 high schools, and every year, they run this calculation to see if they're gonna change. So some years they're the same, sometimes we might lose 1, 2, or 3 schools. But what this calculation does is it looks at the number of students enrolled in a school, the student-to-teacher ratio, the percentage of students receiving free and reduced lunch, and then the amount of money the school spends per student. So there's 900-plus high schools in the state of Michigan. These are the 30 closest high schools to Vicksburg High School, and they're all fantastic. I would send any one of my kids to these high schools. There's actually 4 of them that are in our conference: Edwardsburg, Otsego, Paw Paw, Plainville. And Matt and I are going to share some slides next that compare our data at the local and state level to this group. The first slide I'm going to share with you is that enrolling and passing advanced coursework. Advanced coursework is defined as AP classes, IB courses, career and technical education programs, early middle college classes, and dual enrollment classes. This slide is from 1819. It only looks at our juniors and seniors. I'm very confident that our data is very similar to this, just because when you look at our AP data, the past few years, 47, 48, 45, 52, it's very consistent. So I'm very confident that we're probably around 76% passing for our juniors and seniors. When you compare us to those 30 high schools on this slide, they're at 54% passing for our juniors. So I get some of the frustration from the freshman and sophomore parents. I enrolled, I paid $94 for my kid to take this exam, and they scored a 2. And I'm frustrated. But that's part of the process. It tells you how hard you need to work to score a 3, to score a 4, to score a 5. And so that's something that we keep pushing. The state is at 47%. And we've been consistently in that 70, mid-70 to upper 70 range, which is great when you're a principal. Next, third goal, to increase student achievement on local, state, and national high-stake assessments. So I have a couple charts up here. This is the SAT from 2022, that top chart. So that's our current seniors. They scored a 996. It's the lowest since I've been at Vicksburg. Lowest score.
Which is bad when you're a principal.
Yeah, that's not good. However, we did do quite a bit better than the state, which makes me feel a little bit better, and we're going to see we did better than a lot of the schools we saw, those 30 high schools. I am very encouraged, though, when you look. This is the PSAT 10, the second one, where they scored a 958. That's our composite average. Those are our current juniors. Those juniors also took a practice SAT in November. Their average on the practice SAT was a 996. So we're hoping between a 1020 and a 1040 on the SAT this spring, which puts us right in line with where we've kind of been before the pandemic. That's our goal at Vicksburg High School. So that part makes me feel really good. The kid said if they score a 1070 or higher, which is what we hit,
Don't listen to him.
which we hit like 6 years ago, Hawkins would shave his head. So that's one of our goals.
No.
So we're pushing that out.
No. That was the other way around. Adam, you're gonna look like Uncle Fester by the time I'm done with you.
Has there been a decline in kids taking the SAT? Because, you hear on the news that colleges are not looking at the SAT. I mean, is there some confusion with kids with regard to?
So in the state of Michigan, they're required to take it for their diploma. So you're right, they have schools that are test optional, like, University of Michigan, K College, they might say they're test optional. However, even College Board says over 85% of universities, while they might even be test optional, students are sending in their scores.
It's just beneficial because
Yeah.
then, if you can prove you don't have to take a, certain remedial course that way. I think there's probably a decline in students who check the box to report their scores to those colleges, but not in our state.
Yeah, and that goes back to, there was an SAT a few years ago, remember, where we had like 87% of our kids and the state only was like at 70% taking it. We didn't look as good. Last year, everybody in the high school took it, and there may have been one person that was sick, and they'll have to take it this year to graduate. Now, this right here is the slide from the dashboard that compares us to those 30 schools. Again, these numbers are a little bit different. When the state looks at their percentage, they look at proficient or advanced. And so Right now, our current seniors, when they took the SAT last spring, 52% of them scored proficient or advanced on the MSTEP, MyAccess, or SAT. When you compare them to the 30 high schools most similar to us, they're at 47%, and then the state average was 37%. It's interesting too, so these are the 30 closest high schools to us demographically. If you look at the 30 closest high schools to us by distance, we're still at 52%, the state's still at 37%. The 30 closest high schools to us are at 33% scoring proficient or advanced on the MSTEP, MyAccess, and SAT.
So one of the things Adam talked about is that we've been collecting some data on how our students are doing when they leave us. So our fourth goal is to increase the percentage of our graduates who experience success in post-secondary learning. And as a part of that, we've been taking a look at that. So here are some universities that our students typically go to and their graduation rates. Western's at 56.7%. Kalamazoo College is at 67%. Grand Valley State is at 63%. And Michigan State is at 79.1%. So Adam's going to share some data with you that will help you see the comparison between these graduation rates. Now remember, these are all of their students and the time it takes for them to graduate. In a minute, you're going to look at our students and some of our past graduates and how they have performed in post-secondary learning.
And so this was amazing to me. This is, we're fortunate enough to get clearinghouse data, and school counseling and Andy Loschitz really dug deep for us to get this data. So we talked about our SAT data, we talked about our AP data, and we compared ourselves to other schools. We do not have area high schools. How are their students doing in college? All we can look at is Western, Grand Valley, Michigan State, Michigan, those schools to see where they're at. What I can tell you is we can look at the class of 2014. The class of 2014, 81% of students at VHS enrolled in college right after high school. Of that 81%, 75% that started at a four-year school received their bachelor's degree. 45% who started at a two-year school received their associate's degree. The class of 2015, very similar. 82% of students enrolled in college after high school. 77% who started at a four-year school received their bachelor's degree, and 43% who started at a two-year school received their associate's degree. And then we go up to the class of 2016. This was the one that was most surprising to me because these students were in college during the pandemic. We had 89% of students enrolled in college after high school. 79% of the students who started at a four-year school received their bachelor's degree. 40% of students who started at a two-year school received their associate's degree. So that's over the last 3 years. We really had to start with 14, 15 because they'll send us an update every spring, but then 14 and 15 drop off. So now our goal is next year is we want to be able to share with you the class of 2017, 18. Most schools, when they report their graduation rates, they use 6 years. So that's what we're using for our data here at Vicksburg High School. Not only were we happy with the numbers, but we also noticed some things, and we dug a little bit deeper. We've noticed some trends in the class of 2014 to 2016 schedules. First of all, for AP, students who earned a bachelor's degree in the class of 2014 and 15 averaged between 2.9 and 3.3 classes. Students that earned a bachelor's degree in the class of 2016 averaged almost 5 AP classes. If you look back on that chart, our enrollment in AP jumped substantially in that class of 2016 senior year. That's quite a bit more than the students that went to college and didn't make it. So that statistic, so like class of 2014, 2015, they were right around 1.5 to 2 AP classes that enrolled in school and didn't ever graduate. And then when you look at 2016, the students that made it took 5. The students that enrolled but never finished college, they were just under 2 AP classes. Same thing for CTE. We looked at the average for 2014 to 2016. Approximately 77% of students took at least one CTE class. 34% of students took an off-site CTE class, one of those 2 or 3 block classes. We also noticed that students that enrolled in Teacher Academy and Health Science had a higher likelihood of ending up in that career field. And so when we sat down with school counselors, Matt and I were trying to develop plans. When a student comes to us and says, man, I want to go to Michigan State and be successful. I want to go to Michigan and be successful. We know, hey, you've got to take at least 5 or 6 AP classes, right? If a student says, man, I'd really like to be a nurse, I'd really like to be a doctor, I'd like to be a teacher, we have these CTE programs that you can enroll in as well that give you a good idea of what you're going into. This all leads to what our mission is. Our mission is to maximize the success and potential of all students and then help us complete our vision that all students will graduate college and career ready. Questions? Let the
What
rep.
about the career end of things?
Yes.
So students that do not want to go to college, I mean, how are we partnering with local unions, trade organizations, things like that, to give those kids not to feel like, oh, great, I'm not an AP, I'm not an SAT person, like, how am I feeling valued here in this?
So most, and most of the CT, they do have to go to college now to at least get certificates and work through and get achievement. So that's one of the things the CTE programs are talking about, is making sure they understand that there's all sorts of education. I mean, if you really want to make your money and get a journeyman, you've got to go to school and get your associate's degree. But they talk with them when they're in CTE classes. They meet, they work on resumes, they meet with apprenticeships, they get jobs that have internships where they can get an employment. And that's something too, like if a student comes to us and says, man, I want to be an electrician. We love that. We try to get them in co-op and get them in the field and working. So that's a great question.
And a lot of times, you're right, they start with, I don't want to go to college, I want to be an electrician. So let's look at this CTE program together that is focused on becoming an electrician and see what certifications, what journeyman's license, what things you might need and can get in this program, and we'll find out if it's right for you.
Yes.
I think some of the CTE classes are actually having certification in certain areas while they're still in high school.
And some of
Yeah.
those courses, they walk away with that certification, that's
Yeah,
correct.
so like when you saw, Carol, too, like when we were at 76%, some of those classes, they actually give you dual enrollment credit towards Kalamazoo Valley or other schools. We work with Michigan State, too, like out in ag, where they get credit as well for those schools. Good comment, too.
I think that's a big misnomer about CTE. People assume, I don't want to go to college, I want to get into a career. And you're absolutely right. Those careers require going to school. And, I can't think of the amount of people over the years who might have gone into the trades, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, electricians and all that, who really wanted to own their own businesses, but never got any education in running that business. And I think that's one of the things that the CTE Center we're going to try and do is get kids exposure with regard to that too. So if they want to go into those, but ultimately own the company, they understand the business side of it too. But, you've got to have certification to be an auto mechanic, you have certification to be a body shop, you have certification for those things at school. But kids I talk to that go that route, because they're in something that they're really hot about, tend to do well in those classes.
They don't see it at school sometimes, too. Yeah. Part of another piece we're going towards, and Jessica's really helped us, is what career are you in? So just because, this kind of speaks to what Stephanie said, just because you graduated from college or you went to college and now you're not happy and you're not even in that field, what could we have done to better serve you? Could we have put you in more CT classes? Could we have put you in something else where you could have gone off and then at least you invest all that money into college and, man, all that time, and now you're not doing something you like. We're blessed that we get to do something we like every day. And that's what we always want for our students here. Find something you're passionate about and that you like every single day.
One of my favorite stories is I had a crane operator who used to work in the building, and he worked with the company that was there, and the guy was making probably $100,000 or more a year. And he graduated from Vicksburg probably 20 or 25 years ago, and barely got out of here. And I climbed up in the cab of the crane one day, because I knew him real well, and I said, Kurt, you do realize you're doing trigonometry up there, right? Because he needed to know what the math was on that boom. He says, yeah, nobody ever explained to me why I needed to know that. And I think that's the big change we're seeing, particularly in career and technical education, is we're trying to answer those questions for kids, like why.
I'm very proud of what you guys have done. And one of the things that I really appreciate, I think, about this building and what goes on here is that we encourage excellence in whatever you're interested in. If you're a musician, you be the best musician you can be. If you're in robotics, go for it. You know, if you're gonna do AP classes, we got it for you. And if we pursue excellence, and I think we've got niches for the artists, for the performers, we've got niches for all those people. If you do it well, you're going to learn how to succeed. And I think one of the misconceptions that we have is that social emotional learning is quite separate from academics. I don't think it really is. And I think that when you're excellent at something, you learn to overcome difficulty. You learn to work with others. And all those other goals that you've separated out to do intentionally, we do as almost a side benefit. I think the greatest benefit of the AP classes is not the content of the class. It's time management, like the one student alluded to. And it's learning what the standard is. Because I use the example all the time, my daughter who took AP history as a freshman. That was a wake-up call. Oh, that's what I have to do? Oh, and learn some time management. And I think those benefits, whether she can remember any American history or not, goes way beyond that. And I think if you're excellent at any of those things, you're learning those same skills. You know, the same thing if you're an excellent athlete. You learn how to work hard and work with others and work collaboratively. And so I think we shouldn't talk about it sort of separate so much. I understand the goal is to try to be intentional to do it better, which is great, but I think we do it in all those things. And if you're excellent, you know, you may be a lousy mathematician, but man, if you can sing, you be in Mr. Morrison's choir and go for it, you know? Yeah.
You're right, Dave. And you know, kudos to Keevan. I remember when he took over the high school, he really brought AP to us at the board. And Adam, you remember you were here during that.
Now it's a sinking ship, Stip, right? Keevan laughed, it's like,
But it has really grown, and you guys have done a phenomenal job continuing that vision and everything else, and making it grow. So, but Keevan, I just want you to know we haven't forgotten to push us on that, and we're glad you did.
it's crazy because you look, I kept this slide, like, you look back at 2013, 14, and you were to tell someone, man, you're going to have almost twice as many enrollments, but your passing rate's going to go up. That, to me, is incredible. Like, because there was a time that some people thought, no. And there are schools that believe AP's not for everybody. AP's for the elite. And I think that's something we've shown. We have such great teachers here, such great support staff that really push our kids, and they show that it is
But
for
I
everybody.
think you very intentionally have a culture of that.
Yeah.
The same thing happens at the band.
Yeah.
They don't try out, right? I mean, there's a certain expectation, but that band is huge.
Yeah.
But they know what the standard is, and they better do it, you know, if they're gonna be part of it, and they do. And so, you know, if you give the kids the ability to do it in the right instruction, they rise to the challenge. And I think it's fantastic.
We call that Rozier Boot Camp.
Well, some of those students you saw in that video clip too, you'll think that, well, these are our best kids. Well, they weren't always our best kids until they took that course.
Yeah.
So it's a testament to what you're saying, Dave. Like, some of them couldn't speak in front of other people, and then they're on this video that's on the website in front of hundreds of people. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And the student that made the video for us.
Yeah.
The student here,
Yeah.
like, did all that
Because it
through
was 8 minutes long
EFA.
otherwise,
Just
so.
fantastic, yeah. Gabe Fuller helped with that video and snipped everything and put it all together. And I'm like, yeah, hey, can you do this for me? It's 7 minutes long, and I like, and he's like, sure.
And I need it in 3 days.
Yeah, he did it in did it in like 10 minutes.
Over the years, I've read kids' transcript for scholarships and stuff, and I'm amazed at how many AP classes these kids are in, plus other activities and work. And so they are learning time management. You know, it was interesting, I picked up on that too. How many kids don't take the exam, and what do we have in place if a family can't afford the fee? Do we have a way to take care of that?
So they do, if they're, they have free and reduced lunch, it's $5 to take the exam. And so we find a way, even if they can't cover that, we find a way to make it happen. What we're running into now is that they've passed so many exams, and now they're not gonna let them, you can't take 4 history credits, 4 history classes to Michigan. They're only gonna let you take 1 or 2. So we have certain senior, which kills me, because I'm thinking, you passed 6 AP classes, and now you're only gonna take 1 as a senior exam, and so that's the part that's really tough too, because it's, part of it's money. If kids come in as juniors, you only get them for 2 years. And so, yeah, that's another big piece. And then there are also some of them, like, I'm gonna be a mechanical engineer, so not every English, not every social studies class, they'll get 1 or 2 of them, but not all of them.
And Dave, you mentioned, we talk about academics and social emotional learning is separate. We do that a lot because we have to focus on it. But one of the things I wanted to, that comment made me think of is in our staff meeting today, Lori gave an update on social emotional learning, and she's been in almost all of our teachers' classrooms. And one of the things she credited them on is that you're doing this. I can show you a whole list of things that I've written down that could be considered social emotional learning that you're doing intentionally, but that's embedded into your content. And the kids don't even know it. And that's phenomenal. So that's what she started off with today. So even if we talk about it separate, our staff isn't. That's also encouraging.
Well, I think certain community members may think it's new and scary, but good teachers have been doing it for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah.
And now we're just being
Slow, careful
intentional
steps.
about things only the people, 40 years ago, only a certain teachers got and some didn't.
Well, we appreciate the support, thank you again.
Absolutely.
And then if you have questions or follow-up questions, feel free to email, stop by.
Yep.
And then I would strongly encourage Hawkins.
I'm not shaving my head.
Bald
My
hawk
hair's
is-
out.
bald hawk's what
My
they're
hair's
calling
already
them.
thinning, and it might not grow
I
back.
keep telling those kids, study
Yours
hard.
isn't. Yours isn't.
I keep saying, study hard.
Yeah. I tell them it's more like a 1200.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you created a hashtag once, bald hawk, didn't
I
you?
know. No, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
We gotta let people know where it is. Take one home.
Okay, do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to board action required. First item is the organization of the 22-23 school board, election of officers.
I would like to nominate Skip Knowles as president, Dave Schremer as vice president, and continue the appointment of Amy Manchester as secretary and Steve Goss as treasurer.
I second that.
Now, that's our current vice president making that motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, we're by no means moving Carol out. This was
No,
Carol's
actually,
decision.
that's why I decided to make the announcement, so you didn't know I was banned or something.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the following board meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes dated December 12th, 2022, and our work session minutes dated December 12th, 2022.
So moved.
Moved by Dan,
Support?
supported by Stephanie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Item C, approval of general fund invoices totaling $565,601.63.
So moved.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Jennifer. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of purchase card disbursements for November 2022 totaling $117,861.14.
So moved.
Moved by Carol.
Support.
Supported by Tina. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Item E, approval of the enhancement millage resolution.
So moved.
Moved by Tina, supported
Support
by
by
Stephanie. Okay, discussion?
I think this is a really good move. And, we talked about it at the school officers meeting, and, it just makes sense to not have to keep asking for it every 3 years. And it's definitely needed by every school district, so, I really think it's a great idea.
I forgot to look. Will this line up with the senior millage at the same time, or is that?
No, the reason, the recommendation is to go to 6 years is so we get an offset in those millages.
Okay, that's what I was hoping.
And it gives the local districts more time if they have to have elections or the county needs to have an election or something else. And the other thing on the enhancement millage, I just want to say, it's a K-RESA millage only because when Proposal A passed, they said that the only way you could pass an enhancement millage was for an intermediate school system to do it. And it's not an enhancement. You know, that sounds like we're putting frosting on the cake. It fills in big voids for all the local school systems. K-RESA doesn't take any of that money. It distributes it to the locals. And so that's where it goes. So that's an important thing for everybody to understand. And this is not an increase in taxes. It's maintaining it right at the level it's been.
And the money goes into the general fund, correct, and it's not just used for infrastructure, it can be used for anything.
That's correct.
Yeah, historically, because I remember when we got that, everybody was nervous that we would have it for 3 years and it would disappear. So the buzzword was we didn't want to change the structure of the budget
Right.
because we were afraid that if we started paying for ongoing expenses from it,
It's not
that
sustainable.
was at risk. Well, it turns out the community, if you look at the support over the years, has been really pretty overwhelming. And with the cost of everything, like Skip said, every district depends on it. So it makes perfect sense to do that, and I think our attitude towards it has changed over the years, and I think rightly so, because, you know, that it was used for the stadium for its first use because we were afraid it was going to go away after 3 years.
Yeah.
And is it not true that
Which, the stadium or the?
The support for the millage.
But we were probably a year away from not being able to use the bleachers,
We
so it
also-
came at
but-
the right time.
But we also get more money back
Yes.
than we pay.
Yeah,
As
as
a
taxpayers.
community.
Right.
Yeah, for-
We get more money back than goes out of Vicksburg.
And I guess we're not just talking to all of you, but we're talking to people out in the audience. Because they use the county millage rate, for every dollar a Vicksburg taxpayer pays in that millage, we get $1.25 or real close to that back. So it's a very good thing for Vicksburg. So please encourage support of that. Okay, I don't think we did a vote yet, did we? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Item 5, first reading of approval of Vicksburg Community Schools Policy 6700, Fair Labor Standards Act.
Move approval?
Support.
Moved by Tina, supported by Carol. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries, and that will stand adjourned. We got a lot done in an hour, didn't we?
Yeah, and we didn't get to even eat
Oh, yeah.
anything.
Trust